Welcome back to the Infusery. We got another episode of the Cartel Hour. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Seth Benheim.
I'm jazzed. I am super
Yeah,
jazzed.
you are.
This
because
be
we have two fantastic guests today. We have Ron White and Alex Raimundo. You probably know them from the comedy world, but we're going to dive into that and tequila today. So say hi, guys.
Hello. Hola.
Hi, guys.
Thanks for coming on.
Ron said hello just by blowing smoke. I thought that's a good intro.
Yeah, there's
Yeah. You just interpreted it. It's like smoke rings. Like the ancient Mayans did it, or the American Indians, one of the big ones.
Somebody.
Smoke signals.
Yeah.
And for those listening, we are doing a video recording, so you can go online and find this on YouTube and at the Cartel Hour and on our website, cartelhour.com. And you will see us talking with these fine gentlemen, and you'll see us drink a little bit. So today, I think both of you guys need just a brief intro, really to kind of talk about how you came together to create Number One Tequila.
Let me start. I started doing stand-up comedy September 17th, 1986 at the Funny Bone Comedy Club in Arlington, Texas. And I was going to do a 4-minute set. That's what they let the new people do. I had auditioned to do that. And so I went in nervous. I went straight to the bar and ordered a beer, a Budweiser, and a shot of tequila, which I'm sure was Cuervo. And Alex handed me the beer and the shot of tequila almost 34 years ago. So he started doing stand-up about maybe 6 months later. And then he and I created this thing called the Joy to the World Tour, where we would get in my base Nissan truck that had a vinyl bench seat that would bend you over the steering wheel in 50 miles. And we would go 800 miles.
It was not cozy. It was not cozy.
It was not cozy. Either that or we were in his Toyota truck that was kind of jacked up and bouncy. And both of them about the same year. But we went off down the road, just as two friends on a journey, and it's a journey we've stayed on for 34 years. And I'll let Alex tell you a little bit about where the tequila blended in.
And what's great about that journey is as he was speaking those words, and I'm looking at him through this video screen. That's the way I met him, just face to face. And I'm still looking at this guy, and it's been it has been a journey, and it was kind of cool because we had all this fun, and then for a long time we didn't see each other, but we would run into each other occasionally, and then when we started working together again, we started. My wife asked me one time. She said, "I think it was about 10 or 12 years where we didn't really see each other that much." And then my wife said, "Is it just like old times?" I said, "Yeah, but now there's kind of nice stuff everywhere," because it had been good to us. It had been good to us. But the fun thing is that I like to remember is that it was still fun. I think it was even more fun when we had nothing, But we stumbled across this little tequila distillery down in Mexico. Not going down there to open a company. Just having fun like we do. We seek fun and we deliver it. And
that's one of the questions that, you see. So celebrities, tequila, they come together a lot, and there's all kinds of iterations of that, where you've got people that are starting companies just because they like drinking this stuff. And then there's other various reasons to start a tequila company or get involved with someone else's tequila company.
Yeah.
So one thing I think every listener needs to know is, you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, started this company. This is your tequila founded.
Oh, no doubt. And it was a total impulse. It was, again, we were not there to do that. We were there just to have fun. And I looked at the guy, and I'm a tequila, I like to believe I'm a tequila connoisseur. I've had every tequila you can think of, and some that you've never even heard of. And there's a lot of them that I like. There's a lot of them that I don't. But when I drank this tequila, every expression they had, the Blanco, the Repo, the Añejo, and the Extra Añejo, I looked at the distiller and I said, hands down, across the board, best tequila I've ever had in my life. And Ron, what were your words about the Extra Añejo?
Well, I come from like 25 years of Scotch. and because scotch is a depressant and tequila is a stimulant. Late at night when I drank scotch, I start to get morose, which makes nobody horny. I've never had a girl say, "Let me slip out of these panties while you tell me about your tax problems." Tequila is let's dance and have sex, and that's a way better party than let's talk about the tax problems.
I can see where you guys get along.
So, but anyway, I said it's the best drink of liquor I've ever had in my life, and the flavor of that extra añejo for 3.5 years of retired bourbon barrel was really pleasing to the palate. But there was no punishment the next day, and I got to admit, I'm a pretty big drinker, and that kind of stuff matters at 63. I wake up in the morning and I get on with my life instead of waking up in the morning going, all right, where's the number to AA? By the way, I have come up with my own program. It's I call it the Dial It Back a Little Bit program, and we only have 6 steps, but you don't get completely sober, right? So it takes half the time, and then you're still drinking with your friends. So I haven't had anybody join yet. And I don't really know the steps yet.
I'm in.
Well, it seems to be treating you not so bad. So what was the state of the distillery when you guys went down to Mexico? And kind of how did that actually, originally meeting happen?
Well, a friend of mine who's an importer had recommended this place. And again, we were there just for the fun. But when I made the statement I made and Ron made the statement he made, we just wanted more of this tequila. And my next question, I said, well, what is it called in the U.S.? Who has this? What states are you in? Because in Mexico, it's called Regalo de Dios, which means gift from God.
Got it.
And he was making several labels down there, and he looked at me and said, "We don't have a U.S. presence," and that's what kind of we just couldn't walk away from that. Again, we weren't there to start a company, but we really just wanted to drink this tequila. We were ready to buy the bottles wherever they were, and
under whatever name.
Yeah, under whatever name. Start supporting that company. And when he said it wasn't there, I think it's important that people know that Ron and I, besides having a lot of fun for all this time, we're both businessmen too, and we just looked at each other and went, "Oh my God, we have to share this. We have to share this." And really for a selfish reason, I think, because we just wanted to be able to have access to it.
Yeah, fantastic.
So this was being bottled under that name in Mexico, but it was not being brought to the U.S. in this or any other bottle.
Exactly, and it still is, and they only really go to 3 or 4 ports, where the ships come in, but we are the U.S. presence, and of course the tequila is a little different because Mexican tequila is 38% alcohol. U.S. tequila is 40%, so there's a slight difference, and of course, same master distiller.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you guys appreciate that. Is that
him there on the bottle?
No, that's
the
my
picture?
father. Actually, that's my father.
That's your father.
Oh, okay.
What's
the story there?
End up there? How did he end up there?
Well, part of the story is I didn't get along with my father, so he didn't make the bottle.
Fair enough.
And my dad is just, he's a pillar in my life, and he always, it's my way of honoring my father.
Was he a big tequila drinker?
He enjoyed tequila. He was more, yes, he was a tequila drinker, not as near as much as me or Ron. But my father was very proud of Mexico, and always told me he said, "Alex, everything is there for you." And so when we got this going, I just couldn't think of a better person to put on each bottle. I mean, I think of him every day. He guides me every day. So
that's amazing. That's amazing.
Well, I don't know about you, Seth, but I want to start drinking.
Yes. So I think as we go forward. So I've got my cup of.
What do you guys have in hand right now?
We're waiting. Sorry. I jumped the gun a little bit.
Yeah.
2 hours.
So as you guys are hopefully aware, this show generally, and it takes all kinds of shapes and forms, but generally what we do is we drink the expressions, whether it's tequila or whiskey or even rum. We go through them and we kind of just talk out loud about what we're smelling, tasting, what we like about it. If there is anything we don't like about it, what it might be. But otherwise, But we're going to go through, drink these things with you guys and kind of hear how, what your thoughts are on each of these, because I think most importantly, we're looking at a tequila today, and we really want people to understand what makes this tequila special and different from every other tequila, because there are a few, and there are not just a few, there are a few celebrity-owned tequilas, but
That's true.
this is something that, you want to, we were, first of all, the bottle, just looking at it.
Yeah, what's the inspiration behind it? I mean, I love the texture. Obviously,
it's the pina.
It's the pina.
But it's
it's the heart. It's the heart. You know what? I got to tell you, when we got to talking to these guys, the Rivera family at Rivesca Distillery, and we got to know them as a family, it was very apparent that everything they do is from the heart. They do not sacrifice integrity for mass production. They just won't do it. They're a little distillery, next catty corner from a monster that's 3 city blocks, and they're like a little house. And
it ain't the swankest place.
It ain't swank. It ain't the Ritz.
It ain't got no swank to it.
What town are we talking about? Where are we?
Amatitan, Jalisco, just about 40 minutes outside of Guadalajara. But they,
Gotcha.
Their family, and this is the reason it's called Number Juan. One from one of my jokes from my show, but also because the founder of that distillery, their great-grandfather was Juan Rivera, and my father was Juan Alejandro. And so it's kind of a little homage to both of them there. But it's beautiful stuff. They don't sacrifice for what's wonderful.
I love that the bottle has a story.
Yeah.
It's amazing that it has a story.
They're artists, and because they're all from the heart, and what we do genuinely is from the heart. I mean, what Ron and I do, I believe, for 35 years is we deliver fun, and we're sincere about the party, and we're relentless about the party, and we, so we come from the heart. So I just thought, oh my God, well, the heart of the agave has to be the design of the bottle, and I was a little amazed that nobody had ever taken that design.
Oh, it's a very show-stopping bottle.
Certainly
It's
not
nothing,
to this extent, for sure.
Nothing like it.
Well, I mean, one of the things that's really interesting for me is that the Blanco is that's like the base, right? I mean, you can do different kinds of aging. You can do kinds of, you can go from there. But if the Blanco isn't good, you're probably not making something decent after that. And I got to say, this is really fantastic. One of the things I love about this one is it is that pure sweet agave flavor. And it's funny because we've had some Blancos on the show that you're like, where's the agave? And I do think, I mean, you've got the great lemon
you get a lot
zest,
of vanilla,
a little bit of honey.
Some of these other tequilas that it's too much vanilla. What I like about this is it has a slight, sharp, but lingering finish. So it's not falling flat. It's really just going.
No, the body is excellent.
And it keeps on delivering flavor minutes after finishing it, swallowing it, all that. Insert joke.
Sustain. It's got a great sustain is what it has. And I'm going to let Ron talk about the plants and why the Blanco is so beautiful.
Well, here's the whole secret to tequila. There's nothing in it but agave and water and love. So if you have farmers that understand when a plant is ripe at its fullest expression, then you've got something most people do not have. But you've also got to have the patience to wait for it to get there, which is right around 7 years. And not exactly 7 years, but these guys know when they're ripe. If you pull these plants at 4 years, you can still call it 100% blue agave. But what you're making now is a Kroger tomato. Well, I'm selling my grandmother's backyard tomato, and it takes a little longer to make, and you can eat it over the sink like it was an apple. And that's the difference. Some of the big boys make a really, really, really good tequila, but then they make swimming pools full of mediocre bullshit. And at our distillery, we don't make any mediocre bullshit. We don't have a cheap brand. We don't have a $10 bottle somewhere. This is for people that want tequila as good as you can get it, but you don't want to pay $300 a bottle.
No, the price on it was amazing. I was blown away to see a custom bottle like that with a quality like this for $50 and under. It was really amazing.
Well, I tell you how we do it. Patron's advertising budget last year was $1.6 billion. We got me going, hey, I got some tequila for sale over here if anybody wants to drink it.
And we take advantage of that by getting guys like you on the show.
You pass the savings right on to you.
Yeah.
No, it's great. And I noticed, I mean, you got your Netflix special out right now, and you got your bar stool right there on the stage with the bottle of the extra añejo sitting there the entire special. I thought that was funny as hell. And you got that glass, that signature glass, which, you know, of course, at the time, I think when you started was Scotch, but when did the transition to tequila happen for you, Ron?
Yeah. What was the first on stage tequila drink?
God, it may have been. I wouldn't know. I've got a pretty spotty
It's a blur.
But I
It's all a
quit
blur.
drinking Scotch before this and started just drinking tequila. And that was at the recommendation of my doctor, who just happened to be hip to the fact that tequila is way better for you than Scotch is.
Really?
And yes, and in every way. I mean, the agave plant is magic. If you get a burn, rub some agave on it. It'll fix it, you know? And it's good to drink it instead of whatever. And it takes 7 years to grow the plant, and any other liquor that you can think of, no matter what it is, it takes 1 season to grow what it's made out of. So this is
True.
a truly unique thing. Tequila is a different drug, so to speak, and it's a better drug. And
like Juan said earlier, it's a stimulant, not a depressant. It lowers blood sugar. It lowers cholesterol. It's gluten-free. It's probiotics, natural diuretics. I think the only thing tequila has ever been known to increase is the population. You know,
I think that's.
I know
true.
you probably had that locked and loaded, but it was perfect.
never said it before.
There you go. I mean,
Right.
Seth, I don't know how you're feeling on this one, but this is an easy like A- for me.
Yeah,
This
I
is
give
one of the
this
best
an
Blancos
A-.
that I've
It's,
had.
You know, it's so goddamn smooth. It's kind of got that cloud-like start, and it has that real vegetal, but almost it has that true agave flavor through
Yeah.
and through. It never loses it.
But
And I love that.
a lot of
I fucking love
times
that.
things that are too smooth, they fall low on the flavor profile, and
Yeah.
that's what I actually really like about this is how rich with flavor in the body it is.
We
You know what I
tried
was
this the
gonna
other
say?
night. Yeah.
I was going to say, I feel it's so full of flavor that never offends and has an amazing sustain. I mean, because it like you were saying, it hangs with you, and I love it. And again, like you said earlier, it's the foundation of the other three. The other two could not be what they are without this.
Indeed.
The mouthfeel, you know, the way it coats your mouth, the way it lingers and fits in there. I mean, so I noticed also, you know, Ron, you smoke a lot of cigars. Is there a pairing that you have? Do you have a cigar for each one of these, or one cigar that goes with everything?
I mean, look,
But tell us why you're showing us.
oh, well, no, I like to do it this way. It's more boring.
No, it's building suspense.
For all of you
It's
listening in,
building
Ron is shuffling around his desk. He's looking for something. He's
I
searching for
know,
something.
I know. He's hunting
All
for
the
treasure.
drawers in this cabinet behind me are all humidors.
Oh,
And,
fantastic.
So this is one that I've been saving. This is limited edition Davidoff, Winston Churchill. Somebody gave me a box of 10 of these, and I don't even know. They're just a ridiculously rare cigar. And I just have to think it's going to work out great.
Are you smoking it now?
He's gonna,
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Yeah, I gotta say this is a phenomenal tequila,
Yeah.
and we were both really surprised. I mean, we get to a Blanco, and obviously we do enjoy. Most of my tequila, I've got 75, 100 tequilas almost, and I love my extra, my añejos. But we talked to other tequila makers on the show. We've talked to two now, and the Blanco is where people hang their hat. They go, "This is what I worked for." Everything else is just, you know, the natural progression of what I created.
Yeah.
That's the exact
And
truth. If you don't have an amazing Blanco, you don't have anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got nothing.
Because there's nothing in those other two bottles except that Blanco tequila, and then and a
Time.
an aging
Time,
bottle.
time and oak. And so with that, I'm going to jump into the Reposado.
Yes, please. That'd be great. Yeah, it is interesting because as soon as you start introducing barrel characteristic, it is easier to cover up if you don't have as great of a Blanco. And I love to see a Blanco like really shine like that. So
Well,
I
thank
got
you, and that's the art of Nestor Rivera, and again, one of the reasons we're so attracted to what they're doing, because Ron and I, we're artists, and we appreciate someone that cares about what they do, you know, and it is the foundation of the other two, but it's also about 40% of our sales, you know, because people
It's this
it's a
one.
good Blanco.
Yeah.
oh, that's nice to hear because I do feel like some people are a little scared to reach for a Blanco,
Right.
thinking that it's maybe a little bit too harsh or it's not going to.
Too many Cuervos.
Yeah, too many.
Too many bad experiences or bad nights.
Swimming pools full of it. They make
Well,
swimming pools.
about it, I can't think of once that we've marketed or put an image out of well, even in our tastings, even the people that present this in liquor stores for us, we don't have salt, lime, any of that stuff out with it. As a matter of fact, we encourage people to drink it in a snifter because you should enjoy every bit of it. Sometimes I'll just smell it for 10 minutes before I drink it just to kind of get high off of that. And
Now,
eat myself. You know?
the Reposado, is that bourbon barrel aged as well?
Bourbon.
I'm going to let Alex take it. That's his cocktail.
Oh, no. I'm saying, is it bourbon barrel aged?
Yes. And
Yes.
I'm bourbon, cognac, and French red wine. 3 separate
it-
barrels, 9 months each. So you have 3 full-bodied reposados coming together, blended into one.
Say that
Oh,
again. It's
interesting.
bourbon,
Bourbon, cognac, French red wine.
French red wine. It's so funny because the reason I asked
Barrels.
is I get so much like Chardonnay on the nose, which is the weirdest thing.
Yeah, it is. It's a little
I get that
vinous.
French
Yeah.
oak, I get that Chardonnay, I get that white wine color and smell. It's so fascinating because, and I don't know of anybody that's doing a triple barrel blend for a repo.
Yeah.
It's very unique. I
I've heard
don't
of
hear
Juan.
about that.
I've heard of Juan Company.
You've
that
heard of
does it.
Juan? Very fascinating. Did the distiller come up with that? Did you work on that at all, or was
No,
that
no,
something
that's-
that they had brought to you?
That's
No,
all them.
That's all them. That's all
Got
them. And you know what? And as we're telling people over the last 6 years about this tequila, as we're sharing the news of this amazing juice that we've found, sometimes people, you know, just in conversation, they're like, "Oh, you know what? Y'all should do a cinnamon thing with and I can just imagine me going to our master distiller and saying something to him, suggesting something to him, and him kicking me out of the kitchen.
Yeah. Let's grow the plants at 2 years.
Yeah.
No.
Put some cinnamon schnapps in it. And they would be so offended that they wouldn't speak to you again.
Yeah.
I mean, it took a long time for us to cultivate this relationship, you know?
Yeah.
And mostly because Alex speaks fluent Spanish and he's charming and he means what he says. But it took a while to build the relationship before they said, okay.
Yeah, you know, I kind of want to know a little bit more about that because I think it could be easy for somebody who's been making tequila down in Mexico for a long time to have some celebrities come in and say, "Hey, we want to buy your stuff. Can't wait to take it up to the United States and make a bunch of money."
Yeah.
So how did that relationship evolve so that you could build that trust?
You know what?
So that it was you guys.
They weren't seeking that, just like we weren't seeking what we found. They weren't. They had no intention. They were like, "Well, yeah, okay, but you know, we're really happy doing what we're doing. They're artists. They're making they're taking care of their families, and
But they're also farmers. You know, they have a lot of agave down there, and they've been farming for over 100 years.
right.
Wow.
So they also do that. They sell agave to other places, and
So they didn't look at us and go, "Oh my God, this is what we need to do." They literally said, "Well, I don't know, guys. You know, we'll talk about it amongst our family." And I think
except they said it in Spanish.
yeah.
So Ron, what were you doing this? Do you speak Spanish?
I was just nodding my head, going, "That sounds great."
But I
Whatever
think
you say.
I it just took me to get the message across that we would put the same heart into talking about their tequila that they do into making it. And once they believed me and Ron, once they realized we were sincere, they gave us an opportunity. And which is why I love the name of their tequila, which is Gift from God, Regalo de Dios, which I believe it's been exactly that to us, you know?
Yeah. Was there ever any thoughts of actually keeping that name when bringing it to the United States?
Too hard to remember.
Yeah. Too hard to say.
It is a mouthful, yeah.
I bet you can't say it now, and you just heard it twice.
Regalo de Dios.
Yeah, completely wrong.
That's what I meant.
Regalo de Dios.
Yeah.
No, I like this name is actually, when we first heard we were going to be doing the show, we're like, oh, that's hysterical. That's fucking awesome. Like,
Yeah.
That is a great brand name. And I think
There's a touch of humor in the name, but that's
there has to be. There has to be. If there isn't, then it's not your guys's. And that's the difference.
Right. And I'll tell you, it's the only silly thing about this tequila. But I think it was also important because I've been turning people on to different tequilas my whole career. You know, I've for a long time consumed Coralejo, Tres Generaciones when it was a small batch, Cazadores and some of these things. But I realized unless you're Latino, these things aren't that easy to pronounce. And I wanted to make sure to not exclude anybody. I live in Kentucky. Yeah. And I remember when I was, when we were talking about, you know, doing this project, and I'm at the DMV, and I'm literally scratching names down. I look at this lady next to me, and I said, "What do you think of that name for a tequila?" And she goes, "Number one." And she's a white lady. And she looked at me, and said, "Oh my God!" She said, "I love tequila, and thank you for including me. There's a lot of tequilas I don't order just because I'm embarrassed to not pronounce
it." Yeah.
Interesting.
That's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Ron hated it at first.
I did. I did.
He wanted to call it number.
Yeah.
Number
what was
Ron.
your name? What name did you want to do, Ron?
Number Ron.
Yeah, I wanted to name it Ron. Just Ron.
Ron's tequila.
Yeah, Ron. Tater's tequila.
Tater tequila. There you go.
No, I just wanted to be really careful with that name. So I didn't jump right on it.
Right.
And it wasn't until I saw there's a little family kind of store that sells liquor in Santa Barbara where I lived at the time. And this little girl goes, "Look, Mom, number one." And but she couldn't pronounce any of those other names. And then they picked up the bottle. I was just standing there, and they looked at the guy that owned the shop. They said, "Is this good?" And he said, "It's the best we have." And so I'm like, no, he's right. You know, you've got to be able to pronounce it. And you got to be able to remember it. And as quickly as you've forgotten the other name, you try to forget this one. You can't.
Yeah, you can't forget number one.
You'll never forget it.
That's true.
So ultimately, and for whatever, take this as you will, I like the Blanco better. I'm just going to say it. I like the Blanco better. And I think it's really a matter of, I'd rather spend more money on getting more of this than this. And because this is my A-, this is going to be my B+, because I actually truly think the Blanco had just a little more bite, which I like. So for me, who likes cask strength whiskey and higher proof scotch and all that, I actually like the bite and the balance of the bite and the mouthfeel, all that. I think this is fascinating. But having had all three of these, wait till you see what I say on the next one. But
yeah, for me, I'm actually with you on that front. I think that the initial bringing in of the barrel just brought down that bouquet of agave that I really liked in the Blanco. A little bit,
as a standalone spirit, I really liked this because I like the different barrels, but I think ultimately as a tequila between the two, I would go Blanco.
But that's the thing is for the Reposado, it feels well balanced because it's a blend, and it's going to hit you absolutely touched on it. It's going to hit a slightly different demographic. It's going to be someone who wants it to be even smoother because it is, to be fair, smoother than the Blanco. It's just the sacrifice is.
I mean, if that's a negative, it's too smooth, and I don't like something that smooth. I think I want a little more grit and a little more bite. That's for me. But I think if you want smooth, and this is not like bubblegum crap. This is like smooth, with a sort of mixture of all those different barrels going into it.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. but I want the grip
I'm
of
with
that
you.
Blanco.
But I
so.
also do want to hop into the extra as
Yeah.
well.
Yep.
Do you guys have any of that with you?
I do.
Oh, there you go.
You know what?
That's all I drink.
I was gonna say, I think that's all Ron drinks now.
Yeah. Well, I was
But
thinking,
the fact of the matter is, I love the Blanco too. I love the Repo. I think they're all three A+. And but I got you. But I do go back from time to time and just drink the Blanco. And I know people that'll only drink Blanco tequilas. They won't take it manipulated in any way, shape, or form. And I can't disagree with that. I can't at all. My taste and my background I always lean towards the extra añejo, and I think that's the best drink of liquor I've ever had. And there may be a better one out there somewhere, but I have not run into it.
Well, what I try to do is I try to rotate bottles, not to get stuck on either one.
I gotta ask.
I love all
Añejo.
three. The distillery does, and I'll tell you why we don't put it out.
It's a question, right? Like
yeah, it's a great question. I rotate
where is it?
bottles. I tend to gravitate more towards the Reposado. That's just my palate. But that's what's so beautiful about these is that one thing I've had to learn to do is to quit telling people how to enjoy my tequila. If you want to drink it with Mountain Dew, it would turn my stomach 5 years ago. But now if you want to drink it with Mountain Dew, I don't care. Drink it. If you like the Blanco, if you like the Repo, they're all gorgeous. And so I've got the extra añejo here. And the reason we don't have an añejo is because unlike most tequila companies, I can't speak for everybody, but the majority of them, if you age your Reposado the way we described a while ago, the 3 barrels, then your añejo and your extra añejo is the same thing, just longer time.
right.
But
only 3 months.
Yeah. But what Revesca does is they have chosen just the bourbon barrel for the añejo and the extra añejo. And so they're completely different characters. All 3 of them are completely different characters. But to me, the añejo and the extra añejo were so similar that I didn't want 4 bottles on the shelves. I thought 3 was enough, and these were completely different from each other. So that's why we don't.
It's a 3.5-year ex-bourbon barrel. When you smell this, I mean, Ron, this is your favorite. If you could tell us
why and what do you get from this?
Well, I don't have one of those palates that picks up dirt and stuff, But I do find myself
His knuckles do.
just holding it under my nose and breathing it in. Now it's like a beautiful color, it's just a color that I love. I'm not the color of the liquor, but the flavor is a color to me now. And it's just my favorite color. It's hard for me to describe. It's hard for me to tell other people why I feel the way I feel about it. But what's fun is to watch them taste it and get their arms around what it's doing to their palate. And quite frankly, the critics agree with us 100%. The extra añejo, I don't believe, has ever lost a competition.
6 gold medals. The extra 6 gold medal.
Wow.
The Blanco had a bronze, a silver, 3 gold, and a platinum. Our Reposado has a bronze, a silver, and 4 gold medals. I mean, our bottles have never been to a competition.
And we only entered 6 competitions.
Yeah, we've only entered 6.
6 for 6. There you go.
Floyd Mayweather.
It's a pain in the ass to do. So let's quit doing it.
Floyd Mayweather wants to know how we got so much hardware. That's what's going on. They're beautiful. They're all completely beautiful and different. And I always say I just can't pick one, so I rotate them. And John Paul DeJora, who's a dear friend of Ron and mine, and has been very gracious in what we've been working on over here by just lending his thoughts occasionally to us. When we first started this, he looked at me. He said, "Alex, how are the sales on the ratios on them?" And I said, "John Paul," I said, "they're neck and neck. And this is our second year." And he said, "Well, pretty soon you're going to sell 6 bottles of Blanco and 1 of the others." And I said, okay, if you say so, because how would he not know? So I believed him. I see him 2 years later, and he says, how's that ratio now? I said, well, John Paul, actually, they're still neck and neck. Every once in a while, one pulls ahead, but then they're still neck and neck. We're 7 years into this. Our Blanco is 40% of our sales. Our Extrañejo is 33%. And what does that leave? Our Reposado is 27%. They're still neck and neck. So people fall in love with whichever one you want. And the day you can't afford that one, try the other one, because you're going to love it too.
Yeah. Well, it's unmistakable on the nose. You would never for a second think that it's the same barrel aging between the Reposado and the Extrañejo. There's so much more
spice,
char, and for me, I actually get, I mean, speaking of tobacco, I get that leathery tobacco note that comes from a really deep, steeping in bourbon barrel. Yeah.
I get licorice. I'm getting licorice, and I'm getting a lot of that sort of oak character and a little hint of that bourbon. Because that 3.5 years in the bourbon barrels really, I mean, if you look at the color difference on the two bottles.
Yeah, it's so much darker.
It's totally different environment you're playing in. And it's so cool. I don't know how you get that licorice note in there, but it's amazing.
It's interesting. I get a little bit more. I don't get the licorice.
Almost like
I get like cinnamon.
That menthol too, a little bit. I get.
Yeah. Okay.
It's really.
I taste a little root beer in it.
Yes, that's. We make a root beer bitter at my company, and we use a lot of sarsaparilla, and a lot of cinnamon, and a lot of anise to make it. Those are some of the ingredients in the bitter. So this has those elements, and it's fucking great.
Well, it goes back to what I said when we first started talking. When I tasted them, I looked at the guy and said, across the board, I've never seen a line of tequila that I enjoyed all of them. And here you do.
Well, as we kind of sip through the rest of this glass, what I'm really curious about is, like you said, this tequila has been in business for 7 years. And what has happened during that time? Can you take us through the journey of that 7 years to where we're at today?
Well, our bottles leaked. They were easy to break. There was, just any little thing that could go wrong. We had the wrong corks at one time, and it was a big learning process. That's been it's been a journey, and it's been a fun one. At the end of the day, we get to shove it in somebody's face and go try it. And that's the end of the story right there. Most people, whenever they taste the Extrañejo, their first guess is not tequila. They don't even know what it is. And that's just fun to do. It's fun to share with somebody something that they're going to enjoy. And I think part of our salvation was that the younger people that drink really don't buy into advertising as much as they do ratings. And so if you start just going by ratings, then we've got our tequila is the truth. Yeah. It is the truth. It's what you can make tequila if you're a patient and have worked with partners that know what they're doing. And we've delivered it to a shelf at a great price. And our salvation has been millennials. Don't buy into, if you say it's the greatest thing in the world, that makes it the greatest thing in the world. It's what do the other million people say about it. And they look at those things and make a decision. So thank God for them,
Now,
my mother still uses Tide, but I have no idea if Tide's the best detergent in the world. But they put more money on advertising than anybody else, and my mother buys it.
And Tater's right. The journey we've had, it's just amazing. The things that we've been. Ron and I, what we do is we have fun. We've been doing it since we had nothing, and we kind of. People believe that we deliver it, and we do. We're sincere about it. But through the process of this tequila company, I mean, if you were to say, "Oh, hey, that cork is awesome," we could tell you about the journey of what it was to make that happen. Again, I think it's real important people know that Ron and I, someone didn't come to us and say, "Hey, do this." And even now, someone's not saying, "Hey, this is what's happening with the tequila company." Me and Ron and our small team. Who we love dearly, every person in it, we own and operate this company. We are the ones that.
That's the difference. That's the difference.
We're day to day.
Yeah, we're day to day.
That's amazing.
Well, Alex, since you mention it, it seems there is a story behind the cork. Do you want to tell it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know. So you see, the cork there is a genuine cork. And when we first started, Ron mentioned the bottles leaking. This cork actually cost about 11 cents more than the original cork that we started with, and it was a synthetic cork, which it looked like, okay, great. And we were like, hey, and it's 11 cents less, and so perfect. We'll do that. Well, what we found out is cork does that little contour to the bottle. Synthetic kind of does, but not really. And every once in a while, we'd get a complaint from somebody that, hey, this bottle's leaking before I even bought it, and it was a pain in the ass.
We were wrapping them in whatever avocado wrap or whatever, and taping them up and sending them out. But you know, it's funny.
It's the limit we had.
John Paul from Patron, I flew to LA yesterday on his plane, so we're really good friends. And he had the same thing. He laughed so hard when I was telling him about leaky bottles and stuff. He had all those same things, you know, because the bottles are handmade, so they're not exactly alike.
Yeah.
You know, they're not, and so that cork forms to that opening, and so that was we were saving the wrong 11 cents.
Yeah, we really were. And when we found out, we still had 13,000 corks. And we were like, okay, well, we got to ride this out. And then you got to produce the other one, which takes a few months to make that happen. And it's just a lot of moving parts. I mean, that's you know, it's very important to me to have the eagle, the Mexican eagle on the top of the cork.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
That's the symbol of made in Mexico. That's like the Pittsburgh Steelers, you know, the steel logo. And so to me, it was very important to have that. And I was a little, again, surprised that I haven't seen that many bottles make that important, you know?
No, every element from your father to the glass itself, the name, the cork, there's a lot of thought that has gone into this, and that's not really that common.
Puro corazón, bro. It's all heart. That's the distillers.
It shows.
It's grow it. That's Ron. That's me. That's Rich Espy, our CEO. That's our team. You know, Edward and George and Eric and John and everyone that's involved in this. You know, to my kids. You know,
Yeah, we hired Rich Espy because we realized we didn't have an adult.
Well, I think it speaks to what's in, you know, the outside of the bottle is all just inroads to what's in the bottle and what you're actually drinking. And that's what matters at the end of the day is the juice, and the juice is fantastic. And
you know,
one thing, you know,
what's been cool is that Ron and I, when people hear that we're in this liquor industry, a lot of people want to talk to us, whether it be restaurants, bars, liquor stores, distributors. I mean, everybody wants to meet Ron, right? Everybody wants to meet Ron. And luckily I've known him forever. So I like hanging out with him, but people want to meet us, but when they drink, they hear about what we're doing. They're like, wow. But when they drink it, they all, Tater, am I right? They always look at us and go, we weren't ready for this to be good.
Right.
Perfect.
I'm so happy you get to call him Tater.
yeah. We'll
Yeah, not a lot of people do.
You know, I wanted to ask you both. I have a question for both of you, just to kind of pivot a little bit here. If you have a good story for it, tell us about the first drink you ever had. Because now that you've come from that to now owning a liquor brand and selling liquor all across the country and being in the business, go back to the very
were you
first
stealing
glass.
liquor from your parents' cabinet? What happened?
Everyone has that story, and it's never.
My first drink of liquor. You want to go first, or you want me to go, Ron?
Mine's a pretty short story that we found 3 Falstaff tall boys in a field and drank them and threw up. About 12 years old.
Oh God.
Mine, we were at someone's confirmation, Catholic confirmation. So I was 9, but the girl that was having this confirmation was 14 or something like that. And me and my brothers found a beer, and we were sipping on it. And my dad caught us, and it was a Pabst Blue Ribbon. And he said, "Oh, really? You want to drink?" My brothers are 2 and 3 years older than me, so he sat us down at a table, poured the whole thing in there. He said, "You can't leave the table until it's gone. I don't care who drinks how much, but all of you have to drink some of it." And we made the mistake. We were so scared. We made the mistake of staring at it for 45 minutes. So it got hot. It was horrible. I was 9 and I had to drink a beer and while all these people are in their church clothes. And I thought it was a horrible lesson, but
do you regret asking the question yet?
Yeah, it didn't really work because I'm drinking pretty severely. You know?
Yeah, it's actually a pretty decent idea to try to dissuade someone.
Oh,
but
yeah.
you know, if you've got that drive, it's going to be there.
Yeah.
It's
So,
awesome.
you know, I'd love to talk to you guys a little bit about like what you're doing on the comedy front these days. I know that obviously, you know, we're recording this in the time of coronavirus, and I know things are having to pivot a little bit for how you can deliver to different audiences. Tell me about what you guys have been doing and what you have going on.
Well, you know, Alex never ceases to amaze me in his creativity and what he's willing to do and finds to do to push this product that doesn't cost us money. So we started the quarantine concert series. So we're bringing live music to people's homes every night. We know our big deal always when we get off stage is go find some live music and support the live music. We don't ask for free admission. We go and support the artist. And we know for a fact that those guys are all just hurting. And so we really found a way to mostly access my fan base, but also the every platform we can find to set up tip jars for these guys to play. And we've had the most fabulous musicians. We're shocked at who's wanted to do this. These guys love to play, guys and girls love to play and sing. And so we're giving them a platform to do that. And that was all Alex and Rich Espy. And so we every once in a while, we did one from my house in my place in Austin. But it's just working out wonderful and everybody loves it. And we're getting 500,000 pops a night on some of them. So it's a big success and the artists love it because they're putting money in their pocket. And
who are you getting on?
How do you find that? How can people go access that?
Go to facebook.com/drinknumber1 Thursday through Sunday. Last Saturday night was Randy Houser, who's one of the most dynamic performers in country music.
Nice.
And we've got some other really exciting stuff
Monty
too.
Montgomery.
Monty Montgomery did it. I know that
Scott Wilson of Saving Abel.
Mm.
And some people that you don't know their names, but you should because they're amazing musicians. And the truth is, the reason we did this is because we missed the fun. Ron he's absolutely right. After our shows, we would seek live music in any town USA. And I was sitting at home thinking, God, I miss doing my shows and I miss going to work, but I was just missing that fun that we had after the shows. And I was like, well, we know all these musicians, and we just thought, well, and I had done a Facebook Live thing, and I didn't even know my fans would want to hear what I was saying just walking around. And Ron experienced that too. And then we thought, well, let's bring them some live music, and
I love it.
let's continue partying. And we, again, we just find a way to deliver fun because we're seeking it ourselves, and we're just lucky enough that we get to say, oh, by the way, everybody, you should try our tequila, and the eyeballs we put on it is amazing.
And but Alex and I don't know when we'll be back to work as stand-up comics. And I know that my friend Kathleen Madigan has canceled everything through the middle of September. I've canceled July with not very much hope for August. So we don't know. And we know one thing for sure: stand-up comedy does not work without a live audience. So there is no place for us to go.
I've only tried one joke tonight.
I am kind of curious if with how many specials are going on, if people are going to start recording them. But but not in front of a live audience. I mean, I don't know. I certainly, there is an aspect to watching comedy live that is absolutely infectious. However, I still enjoy a good special in the evening. So I hope you guys still get to kind of keep writing and maybe do something new during the time.
Well, I was in the process of writing. I was planning to shoot my new special in October. I was, besides working everywhere I would go, I was dedicating the last Sunday of every month to go to Phoenix to work on a brand new 20 minutes because that's where I plan to shoot a special. But with this, going on, easily postponed to first quarter, and if even then. But we're writing. Ron's rotating his show. He just put out a new special, and so he's been building a new one as well.
Yeah, and luckily people are watching those specials because they're stuck. Eventually you're going to run out of shit to watch. You're going to have to watch. We're going to have to watch us. So,
your Netflix special is.
Tell when I walk out in public that more people are watching those Netflix special, and I have one on Hulu, and I'm more recognizable even with a beard, which I've never had in my life. And I can always tell when something active is going on because I'm just more recognizable.
Yeah.
And, but every day you're not on television in any way, you're less recognizable, even if it's immeasurably, but you are less recognizable. And so I can tell, that they're playing. A lot of people are watching the stuff.
And Ron and I are both used to doing 100 to 120 cities or shows a year. It's crazy.
Wow. It's different. It's a different world.
We miss it. And we'll get back to it just as soon as the world starts turning.
Yeah.
I hope they open up the Comedy Store because that's 2 miles from my house, and that's where I hang out. And they also sell the tequila there.
Yeah.
And also at the Improv and also at the Laugh Factory. And that's what I do.
Nice house.
Probably 3 sets a night bouncing around.
Yeah.
But I came out here this time just because I had a free ride on JP's plane. So I'm like, I'll go.
He wasn't even planning on going anywhere. Hey, you want to ride on my jet?
I don't care where the plane went.
Yeah, I have to admit I was a little confused because the folks were telling me, they were like, oh yeah, Ron's calling in from Austin, and you were like, you're in California. I'm like, okay, apparently you're on our time now.
Oh, there you go.
Well, when John Paul sold Patron for $5.1 billion, he bought himself a little Falcon 7X X7, Falcon X7, which is a crazy plane. And so he said, hey, I'm going out to LA. I was at his house. He lives in Austin too, but we're leaving tomorrow, coming back on the 3rd. And I have a house out here that I haven't seen, and a staff, and so I'm like, yeah, let's go. Figure it's the same internet, we can still do that podcast.
Which is
awesome.
Which is unlike the time that he went to Omaha back and forth on a Greyhound.
Yeah, right.
A little bit of an upgrade, a slight
You
bit.
could call it that.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting. One of the things that I would love to have you guys explain as tequila lovers. I mean, look, because we've obviously talked about your brand in specific, and there's some really, really good stuff happening here. But for someone that doesn't maybe really drink tequila, or maybe has just started to scratch the surface, what I'd love to hear from you guys is tell us what you want people to know about tequila as a whole, as a spirit, and because it's what you guys chose to pursue.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Last year, tequila outsold vodka in the state of California and the state of Arizona. The world is shifting to tequila because of how much better it is for you to drink. That it is a better buzz. It is the
happy.
I hate to say it's the cocaine of liquor, but give it a bump.
Do we know if there is something specific, like a chemical or something that's caused that?
Well, I think the difference being that, some of the stuff that Alex was saying about it being full of these good nutrients for you and none of the harmful things that come out of other
only if you're 100% agave though, because there's definitely some tequila brands out there that have some additives and stuff that are going to give you a pretty gnarly hangover. Well, so I think there's a big difference between that.
You don't need to drink garbage, and there's plenty of garbage to be had out there. This is not the stuff that you puked through your nose when you were 18, as Alex always says. You know, this is a completely different animal. So the move to premium tequila, that's where the big push is, and for a million reasons.
I think if I had to sum it up, I'd just say it's magic. Tequila is a way. It's happy. It's I won't drink another spirit.
Now, aside from the comedy, the concert series you guys are doing, is there any other charities or things that you guys would like to plug quickly as we wrap up the show, and just kind of draw attention to people that want to get involved or want to kind of find out what you guys are up to right now, and be able to continue to interact with you guys, whether it's social media or whatnot?
Well, this country is still at war. And so that's very, very, very dear to our hearts. And people are coming back from this war blown to smithereens, surviving wounds they would have never survived in any other war, because of just the medical treatment and blast shield, whatever they are. But boy, you go to Walter Reed or Bethesda, and you'll talk to people that you just don't know how they made it. So that's still going on. So if you find a way to support these young men and women coming back from the theater of war, then you're doing your part to be an American. And if you're not, then you're not. We owe everything to these young men and women. And you don't have to agree with what they were asked to do, but they were asked to do it. And they're ours. They're our children. They're our young men and women. And so PTSD is taking a lot of lives. And I've seen access to treatment helps that. And I've seen no treatment ended suicide. So keep spreading the word, that you need to get treatments, for these ailments are real. And the psychological damage coming back from a theater of war is terminal, when not treated properly. So that's something that is near and dear to both our hearts.
Yeah, you guys did the comedy salute to the troops, and that was a great charity. I know you guys had run that.
That was a project of Ron's that he did for many years, and we brought a lot of attention to it. And it still needs attention, and now that we find ourselves in this theater of Corona, all the people that the medical workers and the truck drivers and the people who, we've been sequestered for a little while, and now we're starting to ease back into it. It was kind of weird to me. Someone asked me about the concert series, and I was like, "Why are you doing this?" And I think one of the things too is I realized all these people were out doing something. A lot of people cooking for people. A lot of people handing out food and doing things. And I was like, well, what do we do? And we do fun. And that was another way of us giving back. We direct people to fun, and I don't know why we gravitate towards that. We genuinely love it, but we're pretty good at it. And both mine and Ron's fans trust us for that. A
long time ago, there was a tour promoter that he promoted a lot of my shows, and he asked us one time. He goes, "What is it exactly that you and Alex celebrate every night?"
What we seek.
It was a good question.
It really was a good question. Yeah. We both looked at each other, we laughed, and we went, "Life, Ken, life itself."
Yeah,
that's us. I mean, I could be tired. Ron could be tired, or the other, or whatever's going on. But Ron and I have always had a rule with each other that if he looks at me and says, "Come on, let's go do this," I have to go do it. And if I look at him and say, "Come on, let's go do this," he has to do it. And that's just
a good deal.
In this party,
Yeah.
And we look at each other
so
many times through whatever we're doing, and we kind of laugh to each other because somehow we continue to have fun. And
I appreciate that.
Share that. We're trying to share that with people, and we just happen.
I think people can join in some small way by tuning into the concert series, by doing themselves a favor by trying these tequilas.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it's always a challenge for us because we're with we're with the founders or the owners or the master distillers on the show.
Right.
And God forbid we try something that we don't like. And we got to look at them, and we look at each other, we look at them, we look at each other.
Like, oh God, how do we deliver this message?
We don't like it. Like, what
Yeah.
are we gonna do?
Yeah.
So
I do, Ron.
thank God, thank God, we
Ron,
got this
tell me
stuff.
what I do when I don't like something.
Oh
We
God.
looked at each other, we go, oh,
Yeah.
we like it.
Well,
It's
and of
great.
course,
It's
look, if
really,
you're going to
really good.
celebrate life and celebrate having fun, I mean,
It
that's
comes
a hell of a
through. It
lot
comes
easier
through
with
in the
tequila.
product. Everything about it. So
Yeah,
you guys,
we were in a store in Mexico, a liquor store, and there they had 250 brands of tequila that we've never heard of.
Yeah.
And we were doing a tasting, and I'm like, Alex, could you quit making that face? I mean, because it wasn't good, but Alex would go, I'm like, "No, just quit making a face. It's rude, you know?
Yeah.
what did you really
Understand that. We
think?
understand
What
that.
did you really think of the tequila?
Yeah,
Alex?
no, that's awesome. Well, listen, guys, we incredibly appreciate
This
you
is
taking the time
awesome.
to drink with us, to come on the show, to talk about your brand. It is
Taco.
really a fan
You said the taco.
taco about your brand.
Talk about your brand.
And
you go.
yeah, I mean, it is a fantastic story. And like we said, I mean, all three expressions have their own strengths. They're very different, and all of them across the board are damn good.
I was just excited to drink with the payaso and the tater. So, there you go.
Pat, you had to throw that in there.
I had to. Now we're going to go off and have some duck pussy lip tacos and call it a night. How's that?
Well, you know what? We're having a great time doing what we're doing, and now we get to take our bottles everywhere we go. We're just sharing fun, and we're in 13 states across the country. We're
Oh, yeah.
slow growing company, but for those of you in all the other 37 states, you can go to Cask Cartel and order it. And
Yes, you
we'll deliver
can.
it right to your front door. That's no DUI included, ladies.
Yep. Check
That's
if you
true.
check the show notes, there'll be direct links to each of these three amazing tequilas. Number one on caskcartel.com.
Yeah.
And yeah, this has been great, guys.
This has
We
been a
really,
blast.
Really enjoyed.
Thank
getting
you
to
guys
talk
for
with you.
taking the time to
It's
hop
been
on.
Awesome. We appreciate
Well,
it.
you guys did a great job. It was a fun interview. I didn't know what to expect. You guys are really good at this. I
Yeah, well,
appreciate
thank
you
you.
very
I
much.
appreciate that.
All righty,
And
gentlemen.
this is your first video podcast, right?
Yeah,
Yes, it is. It is our first
proper video podcast.
from start to finish
Exactly.
full video podcast.
We're,
This is
we're
cool stuff.
expanding our horizons.
Oh yeah, give me some more Blanco.
Yeah, some more
come
Blanco.
on.
Well, then I can't wait for.
But we don't stop drinking after the show ends.
Yeah,
just so
it's-
everybody
it-
knows, we keep.
Oh,
Yeah, we
also
don't
brings
either.
up-
Yeah, hashtag me too.
Yeah.
Gents, cheers.
Yeah.
Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
All righty.
Plain.
Cheers.